Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside James and Chris. My name is Ryan. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast at THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN. Next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. James actually set his alarm this morning for 10 a.m. in order to watch the game. Sorry, I had to. Sorry, James.
That's unfair and rude, honestly. Deplorable.
Deplorable.
James is awake way later than you are, Ryan. You little baby.
Absolutely.
Going to sleep
I
at
know.
bedtime.
I can feel him like staring into my soul right now and just like, how dare you? There you go. I got the eye roll. A score. Anyways, lots of things to talk about here tonight. I will just go ahead and say it for Chris because I'm on it kind of in the same boat. We didn't really get to watch a lot of the Bruins game today, and it's unfortunate how it happened.
Legally, I watched zero. Legally, I didn't watch it.
Oh, legally, he didn't watch anything. Okay, so James is really the only one who got to see the full context of the game. But I mean, let's just go ahead and pull up this comment by Mato because this is exactly what kind of I was feeling after hearing all the stuff that was going on. So had to watch the game replay because of work, but man, what a brutal loss. They worked the Bruins all game and couldn't get it done. Heck of an effort with all the injuries and Miro being out. So for those of you that have been under a rock today, basically the Dallas Stars are not the Dallas Stars anymore. There are 5 players that are currently out of the lineup that were in the lineup 3 games ago, excuse me. We've got Nils Lundkvist out with a concussion and concussion protocol. You've now got Hakanpää out, and it looks like he's going to be out for a decent amount of time. You've also got Evgeny Dodonov that was put on LTIR. Matt Duchene at the last second was scratched. He has a lower body injury. And then it also came out today later that Miro Heiskanen was not going to play in the game because his wife was giving birth to a child. So first off, congratulations to him. But man, that's tough for the Dallas Stars to go through that many. They call up both Alexander Petrovic and Derek Pouliot. So I was wrong, I guess. I didn't see this coming. And then they also apparently, I might be wrong about this, James. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I heard that they also recalled Maverick Bourque from the AHL. He just didn't get there to the game in time. So the Stars played with not a full roster, despite all.
They played a player down the entire game. I mean, it was crazy. Just it felt like one of those next man up mentality games where you just have everyone throwing their weight around, trying to get everything done all the time. And this game is really weird because it's probably the most hurt we've seen from this team, and half the players on it weren't on it 3 days ago.
Yeah, it was really a great effort by the Stars, and it sucks to take a moral victory, but this is definitely a moral victory for me. I mean, the Stars team has no business even playing against the Bruins. Really, it feels like we're playing we just played without one more skater. We fully had a less skater. It wasn't like we had 7 D-men, and we should have won. Is the crazy thing. We gave up the game tying goal late in the game, and we had 7
on
rounds.
The only shot. On the only shot Pasta had the entire game. We gave Pasta one shot, and I mean, he was wide open over there. It didn't even have to be him, but of course it's him, right? But it was such a hard-fought game, and it's extremely painful to come away with only 1 point. It would have been more painful had we come away with nothing, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we outplayed the Bruins the entire game. I mean, they did not look good.
Yeah, but again, just great effort by the Stars, I feel like. And it's weird for the Stars to be in this position. They were actually significantly the worst team tonight. We have not been in that position this season at all. Like, the Stars have enough talent in this team. We are never out-talented. That's for sure. But tonight we were because of all the injuries that we had and the amount of heart we were able to play with and the ramped up physicality for sure. The forecheck, just getting pucks to the net and taking quantity over quality. It was a great adjustment by this team. And like you said, James, that showed a lot of heart. And you really, when you look at it before the game started, we stole a point. If you watched the game, you might have said we lost a point.
Yeah. Definitely.
And honestly, going into the game, after I heard about all the stuff that was going on, Miro, 5 players being out that were on the roster
including our
a week
number
ago.
2 scorer and our best defenseman.
Exactly. And I would say Duchesne's been the best forward for this team this year. But man, that they, as soon as I heard about that, I didn't even care about the result of the game. I kind of wrote it off. I mean, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was ready for a bloodbath.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was ready to write it off. And the fact that they played as well as they did, and they had wounded tiger syndrome, they fought as hard as they could. I mean, that's all you could ask for in a situation like that. And like I don't even, who was on the second line with instead of Duchesne? Was it Steele?
It was Steele, yeah. And then we just
And
cycled
I heard
whoever
that he
on the
did
fourth
okay.
line. Yeah, he did
I
pretty
thought
good actually. It looked nice. Obviously, you could tell they were missing just a little bit more space, but he was doing decent up there, honestly.
And he's kind of like Hanley in a way, but like, you know how Hanley is not someone you want in the lineup all the time. Steele you want in the lineup all the time, just not in a second or third line role consistently. He can kind of fill in pretty well in the middle six if you need him to. Kind of like Dellandrea a little bit. Dellandrea does pretty well in short spats like that. So I'm glad to hear that he did really well. James, I'm really curious, and you can tell me how you felt about it. How are the D pairings today? Because obviously more than half of the D pairings were out.
I want to talk about time on ice already.
Yeah. So, let's
have you all looked at time on ice yet?
Yes.
Wait, don't look yet if y'all haven't looked.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
You only have to guess Thomas Harley. How many minutes did Thomas Harley play tonight?
28.
29 minutes. He played 29 minutes. You know what his career high is? Like, I think it's 27.
Yeah.
So we played 2 full minutes more.
Lindell 25.58, Ryan Suter 22.50.
Yeah. They all played like beasts tonight. Hanley 16. Played like 16. Other two played 13. But the 3 that we had left over played like absolute beasts tonight. They really did. And Lindell had the goal in the third period that put us up 3-2 too. So they were all playing like crazy all the time. I mean, honestly, even Suter had his one like fluke kind of goal. But he had other chances in the game where he had shots and it looked good. I mean, it was a really weird game to watch, considering that Suter also played on the other side tonight. He was a right-handed defenseman tonight.
Yep, 5 shots on goal for him, and he played pretty well.
He was on fire.
Too. It wasn't like we were trapped in our own zone pretty much at all this game. Those 3 really stepped up for sure. Petrovic and Pouliot. It's rough getting thrown on there. I mean, I don't even think that they're a pair in Cedar Park. I don't think
they're not a pair together. They played together before.
I think they have. I don't think they're regular though.
Yeah, like Pouliot normally plays with Tyree.
Cedar Park over there too, but
yeah. So
scrambles around down there too. So
yeah, let's
definitely play together though. They definitely play together though because we started them as a pair together, and on their second shift together, they got scored on. So that didn't happen more than I think it happened 2 more times, and that one I'm not really shocked on. I watched it go in and just completely dead face. I was like, that's kind of expected.
Fine.
It was tough because it was those 2 defensemen on with the pseudo second line with Steele up there, who they just started as well. None of them are together on any of it, and it's just all breaks down. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
So let's talk about the defensive depth that has taken a huge hit. I mean, not even in a week. It feels like. So I guess it's gone now. Yeah, but Liam Bichsel is still playing over in Europe, so he's not available. He would be in
international flight.
Yeah, he would have been in this game had he still been in North America. Derek Pouliot gets called up. Petrovic gets called up. I believe Gavin Bayreuther is still hurt. I don't know about Greshnikov. I think he got hurt in the last Texas Stars game. Now they don't have him. Nils Lundqvist is hurt. Yanni Hakanpää is hurt. Miro Heiskanen was out. How many is that? That's 8 defensemen. That's just ridiculous. Like
And
And I'm pretty sure like all of those are right-handed defensemen.
yeah, and it's not like the Dallas Stars are blessed with blue line depth in the first place, and neither are the Texas Stars. I mean, both those teams are weak on the blue line, and both of them are hurt and now stolen from with Petrovic and Pouliot coming up. So, yeah, it's a rough time to be a right-handed defenseman if you're wearing green.
So the Ardell over here with a comment. Harley, Suter, and Lindell were horses today. I would guess that James would agree with that.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
problem is they got to
it
play again
depends.
tomorrow, so that's going to be rough. I don't know what's going to happen there. I guess we're just going to hope that Heiskanen does come
Yeah.
back. And if he does come back, then he'll just play 40 minutes. I don't know exactly what the plan is there, but we've got that. And then we also didn't even talk about the forward time on ice, because that was crazy too. I mean, we played with one less forward. Jason Robertson, 23-32. Rope Hintz, 21-55. Wyatt Johnston, 22-11. I mean, anytime you have a forward over 20 minutes, that's crazy. That's stuff that's reserved for Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And we had three guys do it tonight when they're playing again tomorrow. So,
and Johnston took a majority of those shifts with the fourth line. That's why he got so high up on there too. It's definitely tough. It sucks when you're playing down a full forward and you know you have to play tomorrow night. So you're just, I mean, you're hoping that you have enough energy tomorrow. I really feel that way. The only like saving grace that you kind of have is it's slightly longer than a normal back-to-back, so you have a little bit longer to recover from it. But it's tough for sure.
Yeah, it's great we got a point from tonight. It is the number one thing. And tomorrow night, it'll just be another grit and heart thing. Let's see what we can do. We're not expected to do anything. Maybe that helps us. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Don't expect too much because, man, we are hurt.
James, how did Jake Ottinger do in the game?
Quite well.
Otter did okay. It felt kind of rough with him letting in. I mean, it was breakdowns in front of the net, and that's kind of what you expect when you have three defensemen in your lineup who are not normal everyday NHLers. So you're gonna have those breakdowns in front of your net, and you got to get some big saves. And he had a couple of those throughout the game, and it was fine overall. Stars obviously had most of the pressure, so he didn't have to do too much, especially early on. But that just big breakdowns, and he made a couple of really, really good saves, especially when the game was 2-2, when we were trying to get the third goal. That was when he was biggest.
The third period, all those guys who started putting up big minutes started to feel it and slow down a little bit, and the Bruins would start capitalizing because they were desperate as well. Remember the last game.
Yeah, we got that third goal, and we were just on the back heel all the way to the buzzer.
And yeah, all three of the Bruins goals were slam dunks. Like not really anything. It'd be a diving save or a paddle save to make anything about it. So there was no chance for him on any of those goals.
Do we expect to see Scott Wedgwood tomorrow night?
Probably still, just to keep the schedule going. Yeah. But unfortunately, tomorrow is one of those that you're not going to expect to get anything out of. But that's the way it was today, and we got something. So let's try and scrap and do the same thing. Maybe we can go for the trifecta, the 3 straight overtime losses. Love that. NHL 500 right there.
0-3.
That's so gross.
0-3. Okay, so the Stars are going in tomorrow night up against the Rangers at 6:00. The last 10 games, oh my goodness. The Stars are 7-2-1, which are excellent. That's exactly what you want to be at this point in the year. The Rangers have figured it out lately. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10 games. So seriously, I don't know what to expect from the Rangers, if they're going to come in and just clobber us, or if we're going to go in and just clobber and get clobbered by them. I mean, what are you? I mean, I guess you could say this. Or would you just be happy with another overtime loss?
I expect.
I'd be happy with that. I expect to lose. What I really want, and what I really wanted from this game more, honestly, was I wanted the first line to do something. And They played 20 minutes and they great job. They didn't really get scored on. Okay, whatever. The problem is we need them to score when other people are hurt. I mean, Duchesne came out of the lineup and half of our defensemen are out of the lineup. We need someone to come up and score. And it was weird because it was Lindell on that line who scored pretty much by himself. He just stared down the goaltender and sniped it. And that's kind of frustrating when you're supposed to be like the stars on this team, and they are not showing it right now at all. I mean, they're letting every other line show them up every single night now.
Yeah, the first line does get the 2 primary assists on the 2 defenseman goals, but one of them was a faceoff win to Suter, and the other one was in the defensive end to Lindell on an outlet pass. So I don't know if that exactly counts as creating the offense.
That's the crazy thing. The 3 defensemen we had in the game all were integral to all 3 goals. Suter had one, Lindell had one, Harley had the one that he shot that Johnson tipped. I mean, it is those 3 guys stepped up majorly, and you need your other players to play. Your top players, you need them to play like they're supposed to, and you probably win that game easy. I mean, all 3 of those goals are depth.
Yeah. Right, and that's the frustrating thing is because you got exactly what you needed from the guys who are regular NHLers, because you want to be able to take those 3 guys, or I guess in this case the 2 guys. Oh, I guess you could say Hanley is in those. The 3 guys that came in today, not regular NHLers, and be able to kind of just ease them in a little bit. And you got offensive output from the guys who normally don't even have any offensive output, especially with Suter and Lindell, especially. And you get goals from both of them, and then you don't win the game. That's a little frustrating, but I'm not mad. There's a difference between being frustrated and being mad.
The crazy thing is that the first line wasn't even the next closest to scoring. I mean, Sagan should have had 3 goals in this game, and he could have scored 3 separate times in overtime too. And he was obviously frustrated about that. He snapped his stick at the bench after he missed all 3 of them. I mean, they were all right to back to back in overtime, and he couldn't do it. But he could not get it done tonight. And 1 goal from Sagan would have iced the game.
Ardell also telling us that Wyatt Johnson had quite a game himself, and at the points that I was able. Yeah. At the points that I was able to watch today, he was one of the biggest guys that I noticed on the ice. And I got to watch most of the 3rd period and then in and out during the 2nd period. So and every time I seemed to look over and kind of take a glance, he was doing something that hacked off the Bruins, and he was being a Marchand. I thought that was
he got on their nerves extremely fast, and he was there all game long. I mean, they pestering all game long. He was doing crazy offensively too. Yeah. Crazy passes all around. I mean, they could not catch up to him.
The more impressive thing to me was that he was able to play those kind of mental games, like you said, James, and he was able to still play at his normal level. He didn't drop it all. He played better probably with his extra chips.
He was higher this game for sure. I mean, that's why you see the Suter get so many chances as well. I mean, he set up Suter 2 or 3 times tonight as well.
Yeah, so maybe we can see some of that Wyatt Johnson come out a little bit later in the playoffs too. That'd be a good little thing to add as we go into the postseason.
So one of the things that I also wanted to point out from this game is, good on Hanley for getting in there and being able to drop the gloves against Marchand. He kind of wrestled him to the ice a little bit.
That was the lamest
we take that trade though.
That's what I'm talking about. Exactly. And it's, I forgot who was it? Was it you or Chris that said it? It's like, Hanley's not stupid. What we'd take Hanley off the ice any day of the week, in return for taking Marchand off the ice as well for 5 minutes. That's awesome. I forgot who said that.
And he almost just destroyed Marchand too. I mean, it was inches away from Marchand just being plastered.
Yeah. So, and then obviously it sucks the way that it ends, because apparently I got to see the overtime, and the overtime was pretty good. There were some really good chances both ways.
Swayman,
and then, yep. then in the shootout, it really sucks. We got ahead, and I got really excited. I'm like, we're gonna be able to pull out the 2 points, and then the Bruins were able to kind of take care of business there.
Yeah, the reason the Stars shootouts have sucked. I mean, we can only get 1 goal for Otter, and he still wins. I think he's won a couple of shootouts where we've only got him 1 goal.
No, I mean, Duchesne and Robertson normally both score. They're over 50% on their shootouts this year, I think. So
the last 2, though, I think we've scored 1.
That's probably true, yeah. But regardless, I mean, it was super close. It's a little frustrating that you couldn't see Seguin end up finishing it because he had so many chances.
Yeah.
And that's really, you want either Hintz, Seguin, or I don't know, throw
Robo.
Johnson in there if you want. Pavelski's really one that you would hope for, but it's tough that it ends up that way. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah, that kind of stamped the seal of the top guys didn't do all that they needed to in this game for me. Like if we had won that,
although Robertson's was really cool.
Yeah. But if we had won that shootout and our top player beat their top player, it would have been like, okay, great, we got 2 points, we stole 2 points, great game by everybody. Top guys weren't the best, but they pulled it out when they needed to. But they had the chance there even, and they couldn't get it done too. And that kind of cemented it for me as them still not having a great game.
So I don't know where to go from here, but James, is there anything else that you can think of that needs to be discussed about that game before we move on to other stuff?
I mean, you kind of hope that you at least get Bork up here for the Rangers game, and you don't have to run circles around with your top line doing 20 minutes, even though they probably will do that again. I mean, likelihood of a lot of the ice time you see tonight will probably be repeated tomorrow night.
They're talking about in the chat, and I think I saw this earlier too, but it wasn't Bork. It was Blumel that was called up, and I think
Blumel, thank you.
I think they called him up and put him back down. I think it was an issue with cap space that we couldn't get both defensemen and Blumel on the active roster at the same time. And we decided that we'd rather have 6 defensemen than 12 full forwards. So definitely very weird. But Blumel would be a very good option too. And that kind of cements that they don't want to bring Stankoven or Bork up. And they'd rather bring Blumel, who was our 3rd All-Star from the Texas Stars, who's doing very well. But that kind of cements that we're probably not going to see Bork or Stankoven this year because there's a chance to right now, and they still don't want to do it.
You won't see them till after the trade deadline at the very least.
And see, that was the other thing that we kind of got a little excited about before we knew about all of these issues, all these, all these injuries, Miro just being out. It's just the fact that we thought there was going to be a trade incoming I'll just say this because there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me when it comes to the cap and all that sort of stuff. It's such a confusing thing for a regular hockey fan to understand. But, and I would consider myself a crazy hockey fan, and I still sometimes don't understand it. But I think long story short, the reason why they called up Blumel is to maximize their cap space. That was what I understood it. I think it was Uri who made a comment on X about it. That's as far as I know. But guys, I want to kind of move in and transition into this because this is something that I wrote a blog post about, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on some of this. I understand that there's the big names out there. Well, I say big names. They're just regular, maybe 2nd pairing defensemen, maybe 3rd pairing defensemen that are out there that are available for trade. You think about Chris Tanev, you think about Noah Hannafin, and you think about Sean Walker.
Defenseman.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
But I mean, some of these guys could be seen as a 3rd pairing defenseman, like Sean Walker's more what I'm talking about. But we talked about on the last episode, I think James and I afterwards, just like, Nil is known for going out and really keeping his cards close to his chest. Like he goes after the guys that are kind of under the radar. And that was kind of what I titled the blog post. And what I did is I went through and I did a lot of digging and a lot of research about numerous different things. And I came up with 3 players that I'd really like to see the Stars kind of go after. Now, I don't necessarily think that they're available or if they'd even want to move because some of them have no trade clauses or whatever. But there are 3 guys that I kind of pointed out that might be interesting for the Stars to get through. And the first one I want to go through is Adam Larson. And Brooke actually sent me a message earlier and said, when I saw that picture of Adam Larson, I thought that was Jamie Alexiak. And I was just like, nope. The criteria for me was it had to be a right-handed defenseman and a right-handed defensive defenseman. So that was one of the things that I kind of put a filter on. And what I want to do is I want to get y'all's thoughts on Adam Larson and what you think about him, if you know anything about him, or if you think I'm just stupid and I'm crazy.
Well, his cap hit is too high for what he is. He's got a $4 million a year cap hit, which wouldn't really fit under what we're doing unless Seattle keeps some of that. I'm also not for sure if Seattle is fully on board with selling or not. And I don't know if they are for sure either. I think they're going to wait until the very last minute to decide, we're gonna stay and see if this team can sneak its way in, or are we gonna actually full on sell? And I'm leaning towards them not selling. So I don't think Larson's very likely because of the high cap hit and where Seattle's at in the standings.
Yeah,
but again,
I'm kind of there with the cap thing with Chris, but that is like that's more of a second and almost first pairing defenseman for us when you kind of look at it. That would be a crazy, not just crazy player to get, but I mean crazy what we would have to pay for to get him.
I think you get him for pretty cheap, but his contract is the expensive thing in my opinion.
Well, but the thing is that if and again, all of these things are just based off of, I didn't look at the situation and what the teams were in and all of that sort of stuff. Some of it I did, but this is a guy whose team is probably not going to make the playoffs. I don't think Seattle is going to make the playoffs. And if they think they can make a high price on him, which the Stars might be willing to do, especially considering the injuries that we currently have, we're kind of desperate at this point, especially for a right-handed defenseman and a good one at that. I mean, this guy is 31 years old. He's been playing a bunch of minutes in Seattle. I think he's up to he was playing 19 minutes in Edmonton before he got picked up by Seattle. And now he's up to 23, averaging around 23 for the past 3 years. So this is a guy that, I mean, if I'm Jim Nill, this is a guy I would target and at least ask about. And I know that his cap hit's at $4 million, but there's the number one guy on my list. His cap hit is higher. And I think teams would be willing to kind of retain some salary for the Dallas Stars, depending on what they give up. So
yeah. I just don't think Seattle would be willing to retain. And I don't even think that they're selling, honestly, at the deadline. I think they're going to stay. They're only 3 points away from the last wild card spot, and they're a small market team. So getting in the playoffs and just getting those ticket sales and those TV deals is kind of a big deal for them. Same way it is for Dallas.
I highly disagree with you on the whole small market thing. They're a very big market, and they're a big hockey town too. They really are.
They're probably about as big as Dallas.
The thing with that team, I feel like, is their defense is very strong. Obviously, I mean, Seattle's defense is extremely strong. They're going to want offense. And who do we have on offense who they're going to want? Like that is not a team that's going to take much of anything else, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think that they're at the point where they're taking just second rounders yet.
No, they're taking players who they're going to want to play next year.
That's what I think too.
Or maybe even now.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to rebuild yet.
They're not going to rebuild.
So, yeah, and I think they're kind of in the same boat as Calgary. Like I don't think Calgary is going to go through a rebuild. I think they're going to go what a lot of people call a retool. They're looking for players that they can still play now, but they're not looking to just tear everything down like Chicago did and go for the first overall pick. That's not what they're trying to do. They've still got some guys like Huberdeau, like Mackenzie Weegar, and some of these other guys who are still going to be around for a while. So I don't know. That's kind of what I think here. Let's move on to my second guy. This one is the most interesting to me because I think he can play a higher role, but he does not play as many minutes as Adam Larson does. So his name is Henry Yokiharu, and he's kind of been up and down a little bit in his career, but he is a defenseman for the Buffalo Sabres, again, a right-handed D, and his cap hit is a lot more manageable for the Dallas Stars at 2.5 till the end of this year. So I think his remaining cap is like 1.2, 1.1, something like that. So very doable for the Dallas Stars to make a deal, and especially when everybody starts to get healthy and maybe we get somebody back, then there will be some more cap space because Dodonov is now on LTIR. So his cap hit is available there. Here's the most interesting thing about him. He's 25 years old. So he's a very young guy. So I don't think he is, I don't think he's going to be, he's going to have more potential. I think what you see is what you get from him. He might grow a little bit, just depending. But what's even more interesting is the fact that, we've got the Finnish Mafia on this team. Yep. This is one of the things that this team is known for, along with the Carolina Hurricanes. Why not add another Finnish defenseman to the three that you've already got and just go for it? This guy plays about, I think, his
18 minutes a game.
18 minutes. So yeah, so about maybe a little less than what you kind of want from a second pairing guy. But maybe this is a guy that can come up. He can play a little bit more. He's more on the defensive side. And especially when I know we hate the plus minus, but he's +9 on a really rough team and a team that has not been very good this year and was expected to be better. So I figured you guys would probably like this guy a little bit more just because of lots of different things. His age, his cap hit, and the fact that he's a Finnish defenseman.
This is one of the people that I actually went and looked at as well, Ryan. I mean, this is kind of exactly what you're looking for. It's under the radar. He's not a goal scorer. He hasn't played very many full seasons. Yeah, we don't need a goal scorer. That's true. But and his cap hit's manageable. He's still young. I think he has potential there still, Ryan. I mean, what you see is not all that's there. I think he's gonna develop a little bit more. We kind of see that with defensemen as they get into their late 20s, that they kind of get a little bit better. I mean, that's what you see. And if you're really, the Stars need a permanent fix on the right side. It is not, they don't need a new project like Lundqvist, which this is no offense to Lundqvist, but he has not been what we needed him to be. And that was kind of a long shot for us. And I still think Lundqvist has ample opportunity to develop into what we need him to be later on. But you need someone who can play on the right side, who you can have stick around for at least a couple of years until Lundqvist can figure it out.
Yeah, so I like him, Ryan. I think that's a good find. He's actually played 320 games already, only at 24-25, which is kind of surprising. Right. And yeah, some comfortability with other Finnish people around. I mean, that can definitely bring camaraderie. That can make you become part of the team a little bit quicker too. And yeah, right-hand defenseman, he seems solid, stay at home. In his last 5 games, he's actually taken a bigger step. Probably some kind of injury in Buffalo that's causing this to happen. But his last 5 games, he is 19 minutes time on ice, 23, 24, 22, 27. So he can take some more minutes if he needs to. And in those games, he's been great. He's positive in all but one of those, and with 3 points.
Well, the biggest thing they've dealt with there in Buffalo is mostly the injury to Samuelson, who is like their big. He's basically their Lindell, probably a little bit better than Lindell, but he's a younger Lindell, and he's been out almost the entire season. And Yokiharu has kind of stepped up into that role. So this guy really makes me excited. He really does. And go ahead.
And Buffalo is definitely a team that's on the outside looking in. They're definitely in the selling spot. They're not waiting around to see if they can try and sneak in. They're well out of it at this point, and by the trade deadline, that's going to become pretty much a certainty.
And really, Part of the issue with all the people that the Stars would want to look at is that you're going to have to pay some assets in some form or another for the player, because we don't want a loan who we can use for this year and that's it, because likely Bichel is not ready to come into the league next year. I mean, he could, and we know he is very good, but he hasn't even played a year of North American hockey yet. So it's Yokiharu is a former first overall or first rounder, late first rounder, but still it's a first round pick, and he is very solid, and he is only, it really does look like he's only gotten better, and he hasn't even had a full season in the NHL yet. He's had chopped off a little bit every single time.
Seasons,
yeah.
Kind of like
so 5 chopped
like
off
Lundqvist.
seasons. So it's like kind of scary, but the time on ice and kind of especially the plus minus this year for him, because if you look at his past seasons, he's negative in almost all of them, but this year he's a plus 11, which is a great improvement, even when you're talking about, I mean, he's been playing on the same team the whole time.
And I don't want to get too into this because a lot of Stars fans won't really care about this, but I did look into the advanced analytics with a lot of these guys too. And his Corsi is very good. He has a positive Corsi, he's above 50, and his Fenwick is also really good as well. So those are kind of some of the stats you can look at when you have a player on a bad team who may have a bad plus minus. But the fact that he's got, good Corsi, good Fenwick, and he's also got a good plus minus, it looks like he's got the whole package deal. Now, the thing that I am worried about with him is he is 25. And he is not a for sure veteran defenseman, which is, I feel like we need more of a veteran guy in on the D corps. Now, I'm not saying he couldn't come in and fulfill that role for the Dallas Stars. He absolutely could. But if I'm Jim Nill, I want somebody just a little bit older, like 27, 28. And that kind of leads me into the next guy. And this is the guy that I personally am most excited about.
One last point.
Okay.
He did what to his Fenwick? Okay, we can move on. He did what to his Fenwick? Okay, we can move on.
Okay. Anyway.
That deserves some silence, some awkward silence there. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. He's smiling.
Where's the third guy?
The third guy
Tanev.
was no.
Oh,
Tanev is not an under the radar pick. Okay, he's not. Everyone is talking about him. His name is Artem Zub. He is a top 4 defenseman for the Ottawa Senators.
He sounds like a Dallas Star. He's got a funny name.
He's got a funny name. That's true. Hakanpää. Miro Heiskanen. But he's 28 years old, and he was talked about a lot last season before he signed his current extension of what he has. Now, this extension is much higher at 4.6. Yeah, Chris just saw it. Yes, I know. It's at 4.6. But the deal is you are getting a for sure, like, solid home run pick if you get him. Because this guy is a minute muncher. He can play excellent for you on the penalty kill. He can he's right-handed again. And this guy is 28 years old. He is, at this point, he is in the prime of his career. So this would be, in my opinion, a perfect pickup for the Dallas Stars if he's willing to move on to the Dallas Stars. He's got a plus minus of +7, and he averages about 20 minutes a night, which is kind of puts it in the perfect category for the Dallas Stars needing a top 4 defenseman. And then the other thing you got to consider is Ottawa's situation right now. So at the beginning of the season, they basically kind of were saying that they were going to make the playoffs. That's what they wanted to do. And honestly, I expected them to make the playoffs or at least be in the hunt. And they're nowhere close. So if you're Artem Zub and you just signed your extension, and the old general manager who is no longer there, as he's been fired, and as has the coach has been fired, then maybe if a team comes calling for you and calls for your name, why not, take the opportunity to go to a Stanley Cup contending team like the Dallas Stars? And, I think Ottawa would be willing to also, take some, I can't even think of the word right now. I'm sorry. Someone help me. Retain. They'd be willing to retain up to 50% of his salary. So what are your thoughts
4
on
years?
Here's kind of my issue with Zub, Ryan. My issue is that I don't think the Senators, Zub, I don't think the Senators have a bad team right now. If you look at their team on paper, they look terrifying still. I mean, they have a very strong set of forwards and they have a decent defense group. I mean, it really doesn't look that bad. I don't think that they should sell off a bunch of their players. This is not a team that's going to go into a full rebuild. And this player is a player that you're going to want on your team when you're talking about trying to get into a playoff position.
Yeah, and the more important thing is that Ottawa doesn't think that they're a bad team either. They're expecting to do exactly what the Canucks have done this year. And that's the Canucks have had a great team on paper for the last 3 years. And they finally figured it out. And Ottawa's looking to do the same thing. Not to mention, we can't afford him. We can't afford $4 million for 4 years and re-sign all the players that we need to. And he's got the no movement clause. On paper, Ryan, you're 100% right. This is the guy we need. Now find it for cheaper and find it for someone who has 1 year left on their contract, and we'd be hunky dory. But that's the problem, is that guy doesn't exist. So case wise, this is the guy we need. You're 100% right. It's just impossible for us to get him.
I don't think anything is ever impossible. I mean, I know this is kind of stupid to say, but Wayne Gretzky was traded. Okay, anybody can be traded for the right price and in the right situation.
You want to flip a first
with the right
rounder,
convincing.
Danky and Bork? Then they might retain 50%.
Of course, yes, like that. They would do something like that, but I don't think that the Stars would offer that up. And again, the guys, and the reason why I wanted to look at some of these under the radar guys is because these under the radar guys, which I think are pretty decent, especially Jokiharju and Zub, I don't think they're going to be, they're going to cost as much. Like these, I mean, like for Noah,
it's going to cost.
Well, but I mean, what I'm talking about is like for Sean Walker, right? A guy who is just recently playing really well in Philadelphia. They're asking for a first round pick for him. Like, I like, no offense to Sean Walker. He's probably having a really good year and everything, but the Zub and even Jokiharju have been solidly more consistent than Sean Walker. And no offense to Chris Tanev, but they already talked about it in the chat over here. But Chris Tanev has a lot of issues with injury, and he's also 34. I think that's correct. He's either 33 or 34. So this is not a guy you want to give a first round pick for. And based off of what I'm guessing and the fact that everybody is talking about him, and there's a giant bidding war, I'm sure, for Chris Tanev's services. Excuse me. They're gonna get a first round pick for Chris Tanev. I don't think it's worth it. So that's why I wanted to go through and try and find guys like this. And Jim Nill is very good about finding these guys that are under the radar and convincing their GMs that, hey, we really need this guy. We'll give you this. I think this is fair market value for this guy.
Yeah. Under the radar, I'm on board, but they do have to be available, actually, which I don't think Zub is. But the other two guys I like.
You never know. Just saying.
Well, you'd be giving up more than a first round pick for Zub.
Yeah. I mean,
if you want to
talk about what you'd probably give up to get Zub, you're probably giving up Bischel, honestly.
Yeah, they like Zub.
And then you're probably also giving up a first and then a third is what kind of is the normal thing for a player like that. And honestly, that's lower end, I feel like.
Especially if you want them to retain. You want to retain salary on a good player.
So let me ask you this. Is there anybody that y'all can think of that you really want?
Chris Tanev.
I don't think Chris Tanev is a smart decision. I really don't.
Oh, but it's a sexy decision.
I out of all the ones that I looked at, I like Yokiharu the most. I mean, he has the potential to play a bunch of minutes. He is going to fly extremely under the radar, I feel, unless like they're actually shopping him around, and then he won't. But that's kind of for everyone that we pull out.
Right.
I think that he's a player that you could get for very little, and that's a player that I feel like the Stars could use very well.
And you know, the other guy, the other thing about Yokiharu, plus his name is just fun to say, Yokiharu.
Yokiharu.
Kind of reminds me of Yoki Paka back in the 2013, 2012 days. But anyways, I don't think he's gonna command a huge increase in his salary. I think he's gonna get a pay raise, obviously. But I don't see it being over like 4 million or something
He's
like that.
He's a guy we can definitely resign.
That's the other thing is that I know that Jim Nill is very big about finding players with term or finding players that he thinks he can resign, because he's done that with lots of trades that he's done in the past. So we'll see what Jim Nill does. I'm really excited about Yokiharu because I think that's the most likely of the three that we could go after, but I really like Artem Zub just because of he seems to be like the perfect candidate for the Stars to go after. That's just me, but
or we'll end up with Colin Miller again. I don't know how, but
oh, wouldn't that be funny? Hey, we'll take Colin Miller back, New Jersey. I know you're in a playoff race, but we'll take him back.
Yeah, I think y'all are sleeping on Chris Tanev too, because if we got Chris Tanev tomorrow, y'all will be ecstatic. As would I. Yes, he's going to cost a lot, but a player like that can actually move the puck, like the guys we're talking about right now are guys who are solid in their own end, which is definitely the immediate need. But a guy who's solid
Yokiharu can move the puck well too.
Can move the puck. Chris Tanev would be an insane pickup, and he would definitely be a rental. He would definitely cost a first round pick and maybe a little bit more, but it would still be awesome.
And I'm not discounting that at all. I would just be happy with the Stars getting any kind of
defensive help is what you need.
Like even before all these injuries, like I would be happy with anybody, right? But like I just want to find somebody without, trading away so much of our future, so much of our assets going forward. We want to try and get the most out of our get the bang for our buck, basically, is what I'm saying.
It's a unique thought, Ryan. Hadn't thought about that before.
Thank you, Chris. Stop smirking.
Moving on.
Okay. Yep. Okay. We talked way longer about that than I intended to. I'm sorry. So let's get to the other stuff really quickly, and then we'll move on. We already talked about that. Okay. The biggest news coming out lately for the Dallas Stars over the weekend was the fact that they will be heading to Tampere, Finland. I hope I said that right. And they will be taking on the Florida Panthers in 2 games for the NHL Global Series. I don't know the days. I just know it's in November. Do y'all know the dates for like 100%?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Okay. So it's really cool. I'm really excited for that. That's going to be really fun. It's cool for Alexander Barkov because he gets to play in his hometown on the Florida side, and then obviously for Dallas, we've got 4 guys that are probably going to be on Team Finland when
the Finnish national team's top defensive pair is on our team.
Right, exactly. And with Mira Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, Hakanpää, and also obviously Roope Hintz being in there as well. So what were y'all's thoughts of hearing those news coming out, and are you excited, and what are you thinking?
Took too long to get the Finnish Mafia out there, honestly. I'm glad they're doing
really
it now.
Did.
It's going to be great. I think it's really cool to grow hockey globally, and the matinee games like today is another way that they grow the sport in Europe. I mean, I saw some sponsored ads trying to target Europeans, saying, "Hey, Stars game starts at 10 p.m. for y'all. Y'all can actually watch it." So it makes sense. It's cool to see, and growing the sport anywhere, especially in Europe where it's already huge, getting the actual pro scene out there is going to be a big deal.
James, what do you think?
No, I'm super excited for it. I mean, It'll be fun to kind of see how the team reacts going overseas like that, because we saw a couple of teams do that this year, and it's definitely different. It's definitely a challenge. I mean, it's a lot harder to go across the world and play, and then you got to come back for the rest of the season. So that should be fun to watch.
Right. I'm honestly really excited to see what goes on for them over there in Finland, and maybe Yogi Haru gets added to that list, and maybe we get a fourth defenseman that will be on the Team Finnish roster. We will see. Okay, I think it's time. Are we ready to move on and do our Who Cares segment, or is there anything else we need to talk about?
Yep, I'm good.
There's one thing that I do want to mention. There was a crazy game tonight that was played between Minnesota and Vancouver.
Oh, yeah, the 10-7. Yeah.
10-7. Guess how many shots were in that game?
113, I'm guessing.
The shots were 24-27.
Oh my gosh, I was completely
and
wrong.
There were
Okay.
17 goals.
Oh my goodness. Talk about who started. Who started? Was it Demko or was it Smith for Vancouver?
I don't even think it matters. The crazy thing is the Wild scored like 4 power play goals within like 7 minutes or something stupid like that to come back and claim the lead. Stupid game if you want to go look at a crazy box score.
I might actually go and take a look at that game and maybe even watch it after I watch the Stars game tonight. I'm going to go back and kind of analyze the defensemen and maybe do a blog post on how I thought each of the defensemen did tonight, but we'll see if I have time for that. But okay, Chris, would you like to introduce our Who Cares segment for the evening?
Yeah, we're going to mix it up. We're not doing top 3. We are doing bottom 3, and we're going to keep it a little bit on theme here. We are doing bottom 3 European countries. Your 3 least favorite European countries,
no.
please.
Don't we have some listeners from a lot of these countries? Don't do this.
No, I don't care. All right, how about this? America is the worst European country. There you go. There you go, European listeners. We'll accept the bottom spot. So we'll do 4 through 2. Your number 4. No, yeah, number 4 through 2 least favorite European countries. All right, number 4, the Netherlands. You're underwater. Move higher. Go higher. You're underwater. Stop trying to fight the sea. Just move to higher ground. The Netherlands, number 3. Does anyone have any thought in there? Ryan's got a thought in his eyes. Ryan, number 3.
I think you're a turd for doing this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we're in trouble here now. I'm getting us in some dangerous territory.
Yeah, what you think?
I do.
Okay. All right. Really gonna make me do this. Okay, I'll tell a stupid joke with it.
Do it.
Okay. Switzerland. Switzerland is my number 4. You want to know why?
Why?
The flag is
Everything.
a huge plus.
Dang it, James.
What? I didn't hear
it.
Their flag is a huge plus, Chris.
Oh, their flag is huge.
He was going to make the joke that he thinks he's funny.
Yes.
Thinks he's
the
funny.
dad joke. You have to say it, right?
No.
Come on.
Third.
Okay.
Poland, sure. They're big. They.
It's a big country. Nobody knows it exists.
It's right by Germany, you know.
Right there.
No one pays attention to it.
No one knows it exists. All right. Number 2, Greece. Poor. Ryan, number 2.
Wow. That's just rude.
That was going to be actually my number 2 as well.
Really?
As Greece.
That's funny. Yeah.
Because they are bankrupt and got no money. Just like America.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't miss Porzies.
France.
Why?
Because people say that they're mean.
They're not. I
hate to be rude, but we're French.
Oh yeah, that's a good joke right there, James. I like that one.
Oh my gosh!
All right, my
joke was bad.
My number 1 least favorite European country is Iceland. It's not in Europe.
It's mine.
It's not
lying.
in Europe. You're playing the
It's a
Euro Cup
liar.
every year. You think, oh, I'm just Europe. You're not in Europe. You're an island. You should play in the Pacific Cup, and it should be just you and Greenland. That's the only soccer you get to play. Iceland versus Greenland. That's it. Ryan.
Me? Okay, mine's not exactly fair because nobody likes them right now. And it's kind of cheating because they're technically part of 2 continents. My number 1 is Russia.
Yeah,
Ain't
we're
no
gonna
one
move on
like
from
Russia.
that. We're gonna move on from that. Ryan, explain yourself a little bit. Or James, explain yourself a little bit further. Sorry.
Oh, anyway, Iceland is stupid. Not only are they not part of Europe, their name is a lie as well. I mean,
That
they're
is
pretty
true.
green.
And that-
There's some ice there. There's a good bit of
There
ice.
is ice there, but it's mostly green.
it's really pretty there. From
is
what
really
from pictures I've seen and what people
They
have
have
told me.
ice that attacks you from the ocean.
That's pretty cool. I
Well,
wish I
might-
Isn't it
I
kinda
might
could
move
do
down
that
the
here.
list.
Isn't it kind of ironic how like Greenland is literally there's no green there, and then Iceland there's a lot of green.
This is
And
a
then
conversation
Greenland
that
is where ice-
probably no one has ever had.
Probably.
Anyway,
Anyway, thanks for listening to Sarcastic Remarks. Be sure to check out our DraftKings promo code THPN on our website, sarcasticremarks.com. Right, Ryan?
Sure.
Anything
forgot some
else?
stuff.
That's why I said right, Ryan, so you could add the stuff that I forgot.
Leave a 5.
Yeah, leave those review things. Hopefully good ones. Unless you're from Iceland, then you're allowed to leave a bad review. That's fair.
And then also go to
sarcasticremarksshop.com.
Great, you
And-
remembered. Okay.
And buy
good.
your
Cool.
Sarcastic Remarks branded toothbrush holder, your Sarcastic Remarks branded bath sheets, and your Sarcastic Remarks
No.
branded non-slip bath mats. Don't slip in the shower, folks.
No.
It's a safety hazard. Get the Sarcastic Remarks non-slip bathtub mat. Patent
We'll
paper,
be
TM.
we'll be back with you guys again tomorrow night, along with James, along with Chris. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope y'all have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. I don't even know where James is.
You got it.
We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye.